Shalom Chavrim, I'm Steve Benoon. You're watching Israeli News Live, and boy, we've kind of had everybody on their toes here for the last couple of weeks, especially with the Steve and Yana chat, looking into different things that are going on around the world, and I can see how that just keeps everybody nervous. But listen, we want to know the truth no matter what subject we're dealing with, and today I have up on my screen a bunch of information that is probably going to be like, maybe for you like it is for me, with the exception of a small handful of people, rocket science. In fact, we're looking at astronomy. We're looking at the space, what's going on out there. And listen, I understand there's a lot of people that are flat earthers that don't believe in these things. So just bear with me. This was some information that was shared with me on a flash drive, and there's a tremendous amount of information here. Most of this is completely over my head, but I wanted to share some of this with you for those of you that are interested in the, what would you call it, the Planet X, Nibiru, a binary star called Nemesis. It is a planetary system that has been reported by many different scientists that will be coming our way. And or are we going its way? I don't know which one is going to be the answer to this, and I know that there's a lot of people that believe that's not going to be the case. So I'm going to be doing this in sections as we go along, and I'm going to be sharing with you some interesting things that I've discovered over time in this subject, as well as we're going to take and look at some of this information that's been shared with me. Now, the brother that gave this information to me, I do not recall the brother's name right now, is at one of the conferences, and from what I can gather, I believe that if he's not a former astronomer, he definitely has the brain like that, because this information is extremely in depth, what we're going to be looking at here, and the math that is used in here is far above anything I've ever even seen or could understand. So I want to show though to you real quick, and then we'll start getting into more detailed information. He gives a lot of links in this information for me as well, but he also gives photos, pictures, some of those, like in the case of this picture right here. And let me just see if I can, there's some particular areas I can blow up for you. This is one of the first ever satellite images using an infrared lens there that was ever used to be able to photograph this particular image here that you're seeing on your screen. So we have the Nibiru and its moons, its satellites. Nibiru means the planet of the crossing, is what they say that the name means. He put all this together for us, and you know, we're getting to see real information. Some of this information comes from NASA, some of it comes from other telescopes, things of that nature there. This particular one is the earliest photos published on the web from the South Pole Observatory before, let's see, I can't quite see what that is. Let me see if I click on the first part of it. It might allow me to see it. I guess not. Nope, doesn't give me that. With, I guess with infrared imaging of the brown dwarf cross from Antarctica telescope at 5 hours, 53 minutes, 27 seconds. And I'm not sure if that's a date, the 1658. I don't know. Maybe it was 1958. Not really sure about how that plays out. But anyway, let me try to get us back to the original screen here. But he gives a tremendous amount of information. This is another one that's kind of interesting here. We can zoom in on here onto this yellow part, and let me back out a little bit. I got too big of a zoom on that. And yes, maybe this way here you guys can see it. So I want to read to you a little bit on here. It says, NASA's official designation best guess, TRAPPIST-1 system, Nemesis, is a failed brown dwarf star with a mass of 12 Jupiter-sized planets. It cannot achieve fusion at its core, but can put out lots of infrared heat and light. Only infrared telescopes can see it. Presently, our binary twin star has 7 planets. The outermost 7th planet is the size of Jupiter with a Neptune-sized moon. The 7th planet is called the planet of the crossing. It is a circumbinary planet orbiting between Nibirru and our sun. When Nibirru gets closest to our sun, Nibirru has 2 debris trails with a length of a million miles. The tails contain an asteroid and comet-like bodies of ice rock. The orbital period takes 2,000 years along a highly elliptical orbit from the Oort cloud back to the sun. Earth's 2 solar telescopes, stereo ahead and stereo behind, imaged the 7th planet and its moon on November 11th, 2016. See the Jupiter tab. Kepler discovered its position during its mission, and the 7th planet has penetrated our solar system plane and is spiraling through it in a clockwise direction. At some point, it will come close to Earth and wreak destruction per revelation. Massive temperature changes will occur as Nemesis, or Nibirru, swings around our sun. With its 6+1 planets, the sun itself will be perturbed in a slightly new direction of degrees as it corkscrews through space on its journey to Vega. When the change happens, we will leave the constellation of Pisces and enter Aquarius for 2,000 years. Someone from NASA marked orbital paths of Planet 7 on Microsoft's Worldwide Telescope Web. I captured all the RA and DEC metrics and fed the data to find orb program. The closest approach to Earth is 0.0150 AU. Now, I have no idea what AU is. We are feeling the gravitational effects now on our planet. Earliest passed by estimate is in 2023 to 2024. Add 12 years more possible before main event, since there were no observation dates to go along with the locations. The Hopi tribal calls the 7th planet the red Kachina, and its moon the blue Kachina. The blue Kachina is most likely the Anunnaki home planet. Researchers have published papers and recently on how to hide a planet using laser and using nano gold as a shield against infrared radiation. So what I wanted to share with you is a video here that you can find online. It's not easy to find this video either. It's very difficult to find it now. Downsizing OAHULLC is where I have the video picked up. And the title, Thank You, Carlos Manos Farada and Robert S. Harrington. And they're thanking them because Mr. Farada is the astronomer that came forth and published the information about the binary star system known as Nemesis or Nibirru, Planet X, as some people call that. This man predicted with amazing accuracy several different earthquakes. One in Chile in particular, it says that the day that he predicted on January 24th of that year, and he did this in 1939, I believe it's the year that this happened, at 7:10 p.m. an earthquake would devastate Chile, but no one would believe him that this was actually going to happen. It was based on the movement of the planets and the systems above that he was able to see that. But of course the earthquake did come, and it had devastating consequences to it. Also it says, indeed, with 4 hours apart his prediction was fulfilled, and at 11:29 p.m. for 18 seconds Chile shook, a major earthquake, and goes on to say that destroyed 5 provinces in southern Chile, killing 40,000 people. And he saw this, as a result of his work. The people were terrorized and everything was destroyed in the minds of those who survived. It goes on to say that there was the memory of the man who had announced it a few days before. That was just from the people that survived this. Now I believe this is Robert Harrington that's speaking now, and this was a television series they did in Chile about this. The predictions of Munoz Ferrada continued to confirm as time went by. He says, let me give a little bit of volume for our Spanish-speaking friends there. A series of earthquakes between May 21st and 25th, 1960, the powerful tsunami.
Que lo había anunciado unos días antes.
That reached Alaska, the great earthquake of 1965 in Lagua, and the earthquake in 1985.
Los pronósticos de Muñoz Ferrada continuaron confirmándose con el paso del tiempo. La serie de terremotos en
Valparaiso, Chile, are some his correct predictions that modern scientists
el 21 y el 25 de mayo de 1960.
haven't been able to explain yet.
Maremoto que llegó hasta Alaska.
With his dynamic geoscience, this genius scientist has surpassed all laws
El gran sismo de 1965 en Ligua y el terremoto de
of modern astronomy through his calculations not only predicted
1985 en Valparaíso, Chile, son algunos
numerous earthquakes, geothermal explosions, and climate
de los
changes.
aciertos que aún los científicos modernos no han podido explicar.
In all parts of the world, he also discovered new comets and planets.
Con su ciencia geodinámica,
Deciphering their trajectories, mass, brightness, color, sidereal coordinates,
científico ha superado todas las leyes de la astronomía
and orbital motions with amazing accuracy before being seen by the large
a través de sus cálculos. No tan solo ha acertado números
telescopes in the world. This generated an astonishment in the world,
terremotos, explosiones volcánicas y alteraciones climáticas en diferentes partes del globo.
leading to Royal Astronomical Society of London
Además, ha descubierto nuevos cometas y planetas.
to reshape its policy, stating that due to the unusual case of Mr. Munoz Ferrada, all new comets would take the name of the one who first calculated, and not from the one who discovered it by chance with a telescope. Now, what gets interesting, though, as you go into this documentary, is that they sit down with Mr. Ferrada, and this is before, I assume he's already passed away by now, but this is what was stated there. The orbit of this comet planet that you say is a comet planet, let me back up just a little bit because I want to catch the entire interview he does with him, to reveal the trajectory of the terrible consequences that very soon, and what I'm going to do, because we do have Spanish-speaking friends that listen in, that can understand what's being said, like our good friend Dr. Rosa, I'm going to make sure that we have the volume on this loud enough for you guys to hear. I'll read it, pause it, let them speak it, and then read it again. Okay, to reveal the trajectory and the terrible consequences that very soon
Y pasaría más cerca del Sol. Efectivamente, el
Herculubus, the comet planet, as he calls it, will have on our world. Now, this is what we call Planet X. He calls it Herculubus. I guess like Hercules. I'm not sure if that's right or not, but I assume that's what that would be.
El 12 de febrero de 1996, esto se cumplió.
It is very interesting that you did a study and traced with calculations and all.
El brillante cometa se adelantó 36 horas en su tiempo orbital y pasó más cerca del Sol.
The orbit of this comet planet that you say is a comet planet.
85 millones de kilómetros.
Luego de 59 años de investigación,
Because its movement is not a normal thing. No?
este gran científico estremece nuevamente las bases de
That it has different speeds. It's a comet planet because it has an elliptical orbit.
la astronomía moderna. Y a sus 90 años de edad, rompe el silencio
Like a comet, and because it has great mass as a planet.
para revelar la trayectoria y las terribles consecuencias que muy pronto
And that is why I call it a comet planet.
Hercólogos, o cometa planeta como él le llama,
And it is a planet with, back over and see that. And it is a planet
Hercólogos,
with
o cometa planeta como él le llama,
With a tail,
causará
planet with a
sobre
tail.
nuestro mundo.
Munoz Farada explains that this great star approaching loaded
Algo muy interesante es que usted
with cosmic energy does not respect the established laws of celestial mechanics.
hizo un estudio y trazó
It has an elliptical orbit and travels between our sun and the black sun that is, and by the way, as we're going to get into what I'm showing you on the information I have, and this is not clear enough, I can see it a little bit better on the computer screen, but you can see the math that he used is so much like the math that the friend of ours that shared this information with us uses in his own calculations as well. So it's going to be very interesting for you to get to see all this. So let's continue on.
con cálculos y con todo la órbita
32 billion kilometers away.
de este cometa planeta. Porque usted
So here is this chart you show us that on this side is the Earth.
nos habla y nos dice que es cometa planeta porque su movimiento no es algo normal. No, que tiene unas velocidades.
Our Earth's orbit around the sun. Yes, sir.
Es un cometa planeta porque
And he enters the orbit here, passing very close to our Earth.
tiene órbita elíptica como cometa y porque tiene gran masa
Como planeta, como
14 million kilometers away. 14 million kilometers.
cometa. Yo lo llamo entonces planeta cometa. Pues
So here in your chart, you show us the dead star, the dead sun, this one.
es un planeta con cola.
Explica Muñoz Ferrada que este gran astro que se acerca cargado de energía cósmica
And around this dead sun, it rotates.
no cumple las leyes de la mecánica celeste
Here at 92 kilometers per second.
establecidas. Posee una órbita elíptica
So in addition to these 92 kilometers per second, it has another speed,
y viaja entre nuestro Sol y un Sol negro que se
which is more terrifying, isn't it? It has 3 speeds.
encuentra a 32 billones de kilómetros. Entonces,
Manonzo Ferrada confirms that this planet travels at 3 speeds.
aquí en este gráfico usted nos muestra en el gráfico
One around the black sun at 92 kilometers a second, another close to our sun at 76 kilometers a
de
second.
que en este lado está la Tierra, la órbita de nuestra Tierra alrededor del Sol.
Sí, señor.
Y que él
And a third full speed, the full speed keeps it for half the orbit at 300 kilometers a second. Now, I have to tell you, friends, when this was first given to me by my good friend there, he explained to me that it is an elliptical orbit. And he said the speed at which it travels when it comes in from out from behind our sun, he said it will do like a boomerang. He says, but when it goes to shoot back out past our planet, he said the speed is enormous. And he said this is what's going to just cause chaos on this planet. Now, this is one reason why I have been wondering more and more about why we are not part, as far as the Northern Hemisphere, part of the Silk Road. Let me show you that map. Now, if you look on any of the maps that they show of the New Silk Road or the One Belt, One Road initiative that we've spoken about a lot here, we can see that they're connecting the world together. There's many different maps that you'll see on this. And amazingly, no matter which map you look at, we see that the China Silk Road is being reestablished like in the biblical times. It includes Europe. It includes all of the southern hemisphere practically. Even includes portions of Africa, includes Moscow. There's even been some talk about going up into the North Pole region as well. But the one place you never see, no matter what you look at, you've got to, well, that's not a good map to look at there. But if we put in USA, right, we don't see, I have never been able to find a single map as of yet. Here we go. Here is another good map to look at right there. The entire northern hemisphere is totally left out. Now you might say South America as well is left out, but there is one map that in the New Silk Road publication here is not thrown out. So there is one map that I have found where South America will be linked as part of the One Belt, One Road initiative. But the question comes to my mind, why not North America? Or even in the case of South America, we're not seeing very much. My thought is that what we're dealing with this, with the way they have set this new global trade system and trade route up, is it's because that part of the world is going to be facing when this Planet X comes rolling through here. That's been one of my thoughts on that. Not to mention that there is this issue of facing a global catastrophe. It's not a global catastrophe, but a war between the United States and Russia. And of course, if we get into a war with Russia, it's another reason why we may get obliterated. And it could be that the war is kind of pre-planned to be staged right about the same time that we're dealing with, that we would be dealing with the situation going on with Planet X coming through. And you know, from some of the estimates that we're seeing, like what we saw in the chart here, that the brother that gave this to me is looking around between 2024, somewhere in that date there. Now, there is a date in here, and I don't have it right in front of me here yet, but we will be looking at that in just a moment there, some of the other things that he shares with us on this. Now, one of the things he explained to me, and this is something that also it was believed by Ferrado, the Chilean astronomer, is that he said the sun, our planet is moving with the sun, and that the sun does a spiral motion, and our planet, this is how the movement goes. And there again, I realize I'm going to really probably get hammered by a lot of people on that, saying, "Oh, wait, what are you talking about, Steve? That's not the way it is, or the Earth is flat, the Earth is not flat." I understand all these debates, friends. So listen, just hear out the information, and you pray about it and let God deal with your heart on it. So let's kind of move on some other things that I've noticed inside these charts here. Moving into the second frame here, it's actually named on here Gauss on our table that we have. The friend of ours that gave this information to me, he's using Carl Friedrich Gauss, who is the famous French mathematician. I think he was born in 1777, if I recall correctly. And immediately, this man here, his math abilities were just absolutely astounding. In grade school, he was already formulating math numbers just that would actually absolutely blow the mind there. But I want to read to you here just a little bit, because he's using a lot of, like I said, a lot of math, things like that for me, just to kind of give you an idea, just kind of like blows your mind away. This is the type of math that's being used in some of these calculations here that I guess is what helps the astronomers to determine and to calculate the traveling, the speed, whether it be a binary star or a comet or whatever, so that they can calculate the exact time that these things will pass the Earth again, like in the case of Halley's Comet. And keep in mind, listen, if I get some terminology wrong here, I apologize. I am not a scientist, and I do know that the brother that does this, he's put in some of his own calculations, which I can't say are exactly right or not right. But he's also taken this from his own biblical perspective of what he believes that some of this stuff means. And but what's interesting though is, like in this section here, it says the final equation, which was the most important part of the entire method, expresses geocentric distance in a knowable way, involving only the three corresponding observations given in a geocentric longitude and latitude, the time intervals between the observations, the semi-axis, major of Earth's orbit, and the heliocentric distances of the Earth at those 3 moments of observation. However, the normal task at the outset was not to find our own distance to the planet at any moment or even 3 moments, but rather to find the elements of the entire orbit as seen from the sun. Yet the only heliocentric relations retained in the conclusion of the first half leading directly into the determining the elements of the sought orbit is that of the distance of the Earth from the sun. Has Gauss led us off track, or has he, let me see if I can actually get the rest of this, or has he only cast the observer in the role of a mediator between the harmonic properties of the solar system in relation to the sun, and that their lawful projection onto the sphere of creative investigation? A part of this that, like I said, for me, it's just rocket science. Totally is beyond my understanding, although he includes a lot of different links that you can look at, converting at radians to degrees, convert degrees to radians, etc. And I guess this is what helps for the person that has that type of depth of math to understand and to calculate the course of this binary star system that we're on a collision course with. And so I show this to you just so you can kind of get an idea of the depth that this has been placed into and that's been handed to me. He says here, the sun processes through all 12 constellations 1 degree every 66.6 years. Now what he's doing is giving a summation of the calculations that he's already done based on the information that he provides in this Excel format. It says 1 complete cycle takes 23,976 years. 12 constellations averages 1,998 years per constellation. We are leaving Pisces and are starting to enter Aquarius effective Tishri 1, 6001, September 1st, 2019. Think about that. This effectively ends the 120 years time, 50 years per Jubilee cycle. God gave the race of Adam for a total of 6,000 years. If the cycle of rotation is determined by the interaction with our binary sun through a shifting barycenter. So he goes on to say our sun moves towards Vega, the solar apex star, and away from Sirius. Vega is a constellation in Lyra, the harp, along with the stars of Altair and Deneb. Vega can be seen low in the summer in the northwest sky during the dusk and dawn. Look east during the winter to find Vega. Look along and below Orion's belt to locate Sirius, the dog star. So let's move on. Now, rather than drag you guys out in a long video, because like I said, so much of this is over my head. I've not studied in on Nibiru, Nemesis, Planet X, whatever you want to call this binary star system here. But I figure these are some of the more interesting things that a lot of people would be interested in here. He goes in here and he talks about the binary companion theory. And you can look at binaryresearchinstitute.com to be able to see some of that information. But it says we are predicting that our binary companions will be found in an elliptical patch centered around the right ascension, 17 hours, 45 minutes, and a declination of 22 degrees. And then he puts up here, this is one of the photos, and it says here at 37 degrees, 32 feet, 44 inches north, at 97 degrees, 16 feet, 7 inches west, longitude, latitude, I believe. Our artificial second sun tracks our real obscured sun as Nibirru orbits nearby eclipse in Derby, Kansas. It was taken on the 8/21/2017. What is so interesting about this photo is that it was taken in Derby, Kansas at the peak of a solar eclipse. And I believe what we're looking at here is this is right here is what they're saying is Nibirru, Planet X. And, you know, I don't know which part is which. I don't know what the little pink haze is. I'm not really sure as far as that on there. But there's several different images here that he shows. That one was in a mirror. Can't really see that one there, but you can see this one about the house. This was also taken in Derby, Kansas. I guess it's the same person taking the pictures, just at different time spots. And so you can see again, it's right here, just over the top of the house. And again, there again, you know, guys, I mean, I can't say what all these things are. All I can do is share this information with you. So the Trappist, this is interesting as well, because one thing, as I was mentioning earlier, an infrared lens is what's used to be able to photograph this thing. That's at distances, and I didn't notice that had been worded originally in here. But he has on this, here it says, Wormwood, or the horned god planet X, as he calls it, the fire-red dragon of old, orbits brown dwarf star called Nemesis, our binary star, detectable only by infrared telescopes far away. Okay, so Nibiru, Planet X, circumbinary ninth planet in our solar system, planet of the crossing, 10 times larger than Jupiter, has a blue moon orbiting it the size of Neptune. Red Kachina, Planet X, ancient collision of Planet X former moon, split lower half of the Earth. Collision created our current moon and an asteroid belt between Earth and Mars. I don't know about all these things here, but it's just some of the things that are being spoken about here in this. Now, he also, though, included, it's kind of interesting, some of the things that are included on here, but I'll get to it here in just a second. Let me see here. These two images that you're looking at now of the HD 106906 stellar system created by Eric Nesvold and her team simulation, the left panel shows a zoomed in image of a ring of leftover rocky and icy planet forming material that is rotating around the star. So I assume they're using infrared technology to be able to show that there. But it goes on to say the star is masked by the black circles. The different hues represent gradients in brightness in the disk material. Yellow is the brightness and blue in the dimmest. The right panel shows a farther out view of simulated system. The star is represented by the yellow circle with an arrow pointing to an exoplanet, HD 106906b. Nesvold team demonstrated that the exoplanet is shaping the structure of the debris disk, which is shown by the white and blue dots encircling the star. Credit Erica Nabolst, Carnegie Institute for Science. And just so you can see this there, I'll zoom in on these here for you, get a little bit better look at these different diagrams there. Again, it's a simulated pattern, but it can kind of show you what they're looking at. And again, maybe some of you that are watching, this may make a lot of sense to you. But if you're like me, it may not make any sense to you. So anyway, the dotted line in this image is an elliptic plane of our orbiting planets. All right, that's this diagram right here showing that. But what I do want to show you, though, is one of these. Let's see. This is the actual observation of the HD 106906 taken by the European Southern Observatory. And I'm going to blow in on this one here because this is where they were giving you that, what I just showed you a second ago. Let me see if we get a little bit closer to it. Let's try to go really close. There we go, right there. So it's right there, as you can see on your screen there, and that's where that debris field is there that they're looking at, that's coming along with this planetary system that they're talking about. Now, I wanted to show you, this was one of the videos that was in this data that he shared with me, and let me just put, it's called Best Ever Nibirru Planet X Update 2018, and I think this was done back in June. And this is where you don't need the infrared. Once it begins to get this close to home, you can see it much better. Let me play a little bit of this video here for you.
This object is now at the 7 o'clock position. I'm going to catch it on time-lapse and regular video. Let's zoom in a little further.
NibirruToday.com.
Behind the trees. The lens flare over here. Let's zoom in on that. See, behind the trees. Oh my gosh, people. Let's get right with God. I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth.
We'll kind of move forward into the video here. You can still see the trees blowing on it, but then you have this one dot. I don't know if that's one of its moons or whatever it's traveling with it.
Black object inside is almost the center of this second object. Let me zoom out a little bit. Now I'll leave it just like that, actually. So let me move the camera out a little bit. You can see the lens flare there. But this,
he's showing you that what you're looking at is not a lens flare by moving the camera around to where you can see what a flare looks like. All right, let me just pause it right there. This is the lens flare right here from the light reflecting off of his lens. So that's why he's moving the camera around a little bit so you can see how it flares up over here. But this obviously is not a lens flare. Now, I don't know how far this system is behind the sun, but the point is we know how big the sun is. This is supposed to be, what, 10 times the size of Jupiter? Look at the size of this thing compared to the sun. This thing is enormous. Enormous.
Let's zoom in on this one object. 12 times optical zoom plus digital zoom.
So, like I said, just a lot of information that's been shared with us here on this particular memory stick that was given to me to be able to share with you guys. And, you know, all I want to do is I want to be able to show some of this to you. And I'm hoping that somewhere along the line we can get some sense made of this, and that can be, you know, shared back as well, where people that really know this type of information can maybe it can be beneficial, and we can get more from this. Says here, and this is where he gets into his overview and the final sign. According to the Hopi legend, he goes into the different legends, things like that, talking about this system as well. I can't say all that. Oh, wow, I didn't even know about these here. So we're getting into some stuff I was unaware of that was even on this flash drive there. So what we have here is called Jupiter. So that's just some of the interesting information that was shared with me here. And of course, this is one of the infrared, again, like we started off in the beginning, the infrared images of Nibirru, the first one that was ever brought out. And, you know, whatever, I don't know what it means as far as we're looking at this, the different photos and stuff that have been taken of this particular planet, the system that's coming in. I don't know what to think about it. But one thing's for sure, we should have our lives ready no matter what events come our way. Have your life right with Christ. I'm Stephen Benoon. You're watching Israeli News Live. Shalom.